Hello and welcome to the Stringer Podcast number 23. It's like that creepy movie with Jim Carrey. Remember the one where he reads a book, goes out of his mind, and thinks 23 is like the root of all evil? Yeah, this podcast is exactly like that, except with warm weather and sunshine outside, and Mackenzie Thirkill on the podcast. The Floridian works with Orlando City SC. She's on TV 27, part of their broadcasts. At Kenzie Thirkill on Instagram. At Kenzie Thirkill on Twitter. Drop the Mac, keep the Kenzie. Easy enough to remember her name. But first, before we get to that, it's the Stringer Big Weekend. We're getting off a long weekend, which I haven't had in ages. A 3-day weekend, 4-day work week, and then the weekend coming up. And what are you doing on Friday? If you ain't going to solo a Star Wars story, you are out of your mind. It opens Friday theaters across the country. Board the Millennium Falcon and journey to a galaxy far, far away for an adventure with the most beloved scoundrel in the galaxy. Through a series of daring escapes deep within a dark and dangerous criminal underworld, Han Solo meets his mighty future co-pilot Chewbacca. That was terrible. And encounters the notorious gambler Lando Calrissian in a journey that will set the course of one of Star Wars saga's most unlikely heroes. That's right, fuck you, Luke Skywalker. Team Solo all the way. I'm going tonight. I can't wait to see it, get a little bit of a sneak peek, but it opens across the country on Friday. On Saturday, released your inner teenager, at least my inner teenager. Newfound Glory, Sick Tour 2018 at the Phoenix Concert Theater. That's right, you break out all your favorite old tracks like My Friends Over You, Call Me Antisocial, Hit or Miss, I can name them all for days. This was clearly Dylan's pick. I wonder if he's going. I bet you he is going. Saturday, Phoenix Concert Theater, show starts at 7:30, doors open at 7, and guess what? It's an all-ages show with legal age, drinking stuffs, 19 over on the balcony and in the boxes. You know how you can get tickets? SeatGiant.ca. That's right. Just go to SeatGiant.ca, look up Newfound Glory, find Phoenix Concert Theater for Saturday night, and use the promo code STRINGER, and you can save some money on your tickets. Just that easy. SeatGiant.ca doesn't just work for Newfound Glory. If you're not, that 90s pop punk kind of guy, if you're more into sporting events, theater, music, festivals, anything you want that's going on in the city or in a city near you throughout North America, use SeatGiant.ca or SeatGiant.com, promo code STRINGER, and guess what? You get discount. You get a discount, and you get a discount. It's just that easy. Sunday, pedestrian Sundays at Kensington Market. It seems a little weird. Isn't every day like a pedestrian day at Kensington Market? Pedestrian Sundays at Kensington Market is back for a 15th year. The streets are yours from 12 to 7 p.m. Artists, musicians, performers. If you want to get involved, you should send a description of what you do. And a link, if you have one, to pskensington@gmail.com. And if you want to volunteer, even better yet, volunteer psk@gmail.com, as they'd love to welcome great new people to their team. Pedestrian Sundays don't permanently change the streets. They forever change the way you perceive them. That's like Kensington Market, the motto. Good eats, good people, strolling the streets of Kensington. That's what you got to do on Sunday. Your whole weekend lined up, a movie, a concert, and good food on a Sunday in Kensington. Sounds great, right? Well, it's almost as good as what you're about to hear. The Stringer Podcast number 23 with Mackenzie Thirkill coming your way. Don't miss out. And you know what? Fuck it. I want Newfound Glory to take us in. Bring it on, boys.
First road game that I get to work.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like, I'm excited. Like, I have good trips. So I have this trip, NYCFC.
Another great city.
And then we do Vancouver, Montreal.
Great cities.
And that's like a whole week.
Have you been to either Vancouver or Montreal? Oh my goodness.
I am so excited.
Oh my, so have you been to Portland or Seattle?
I've been to Seattle.
Okay. Vancouver, very much like Seattle.
Yes.
Right?
People are always like, what's your ideal city to live in?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah. That I
haven't
always
started
say
yet, have
Seattle. It's a soft start.
Okay.
You didn't say anything dangerous yet.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know if I should hold my microphone
You can. I'm like the cue. When the big red thing comes to my face, people are generally like, "Oh shit, are we going?"
I know, that's why I was.
And I'm like, "What should
I didn't see you hit anything. That's why I didn't know.
do it super secretly because I like that little preamble. I like the.
Yeah, you can't just get right into it.
I like the sit down, and I don't want like, "Welcome to today's podcast." We're pleased to welcome Mackenzie Thirkill here from Orlando City SC and TV 27. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's not fun to get into it that way. And we record a separate intro anyway.
Oh, okay.
Where we kind of go through the intro. We have a sponsor. We have to go through the sponsor. We kind of tee up stuff that's happening around the city on the weekend or whatever city I'm in. I was in Hawaii for a week. And so we did like a Hawaiian edition.
I want your life.
No, you don't want my life. It's
I want to go to Hawaii for a week.
That was personal. That was just
I still want to go to Hawaii for a
you know
week.
when I went? You know when I went? In the playoffs last year, there was that Major League Soccer playoffs. We had that bye week in the playoffs for the international break. Mm-hmm. And I had planned a vacation in September off the heels because Toronto went to LA for a game. And then I was like, that's it. I'm taking a week. Right? And I was going to drive up the coast. All the way up to Vancouver, see some friends in Vancouver, and then fly home, spend a week. And I got pulled like 2 days before the trip. I got told I wasn't going. And I was like, no. And I had Airbnbs booked that I lost deposits on. That was frustrating. And so then I knew there was that date in November. And I was like, fuck it. We have a week off. Heads up, everyone. I booked this like 2 days after I was canceling my LA trip. I was like, I'm gone. I'm gone from this day to this day. No holds barred. And so we went 10 days to Hawaii to the Big Island. I had been there with friends a couple of years earlier, fallen in love with the Big Island because it's kind of quiet, which is a little more my like tempo.
Well, especially for vacation.
Especially for vacation. And I rented a house in the jungle. Legit. And I had like 3 things I wanted to do. I wanted to get 8 hours of sleep each night, which, as you know, in the industry is very hard when you're working.
Yep. I
wanted to cook every meal because I eat out a lot and order in a lot. And I wanted to read at least 2 books. And I was able to do all of it. I was getting up at 6 a.m. every morning, sitting on the porch, watching the sunrise over the ocean.
The jungle.
Like America, like continental U.S. is out there somewhere, but you don't see it. But you see the sun come up. I just sit there and read the whole...
That's amazing.
And then hike. It was... I needed to do it. Like, you get so far into it where your brain's kind of spun... And you just need to unplug. Toronto was poised for a long playoff run last year, and everyone knew
not
it.
This year.
No, you want to talk about that?
Not this year.
I don't work for them anymore. You want to talk about what it's like to have one win? I feel for them. There's that piece of you that's like, 98%
I think
of the
they'll
players.
bounce back.
They have to.
But if they do, it needs to pretty much start tomorrow. But I don't want it to start tomorrow. I want it to start for them
after the Orlando game.
Yes,
we're very lucky. In Toronto, where we have 2 daily newspapers, and of those, like, there's 100% full-time TFC guy, right? One writer that every day there's a new piece on Toronto. So Kurt Larson, I'll give him a little pump, put an article today, and he basically broke down the clip they have to go on in order to make the playoffs. Because he said if the average MLS team needs 50 points to make it in those top 6 spots, they have to get like 1.75 points per game. And the only team to do that last year was Toronto. And it was a history-setting season. They're up against it. I have faith because I'm one of those blind believers. I'm just like, yeah, this group is strong. They're tough. But rough start to the year.
Yeah. A little bit of a hangover, I would say, from like MLS Cup. And then you
Twice.
had CONCACAF.
Then you had CONCACAF.
And then Josie... had foot surgery.
Right, exactly. And he was banged up. And then they lost.
Giovinco got a red card last week.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
Poor guy. Like, it's funny. There's this perfect picture that looks like the most violent thing you could ever do. Like, when you watch it in play, it's kind of quick, but the rules, you can't touch anyone on the face.
Okay,
like, you can't.
Did you see last year when we played Red Bulls? And Kaká put his face on Aurelian Collin, who's our former player, all in smiles. They're smiling. He's doing it, and they were like, red card.
Really?
And it was all like in fun, like in
just.
the night. And it was like at the end, it was just like for Giovinco at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like, all in good fun. Hand on the face, just kind of because, like, Aurelian Collin was just, like, kind of flopping his mouth. And Kaká, just, like, as a joke, was, like, patting him on the back. They were joking, and he kind of, like, put his hand in his face and just be like, oh, stop it. Like, whatever.
Stop it, you.
Yeah.
I know who you are.
And the ref was just like, bling!
Now, did it get rescinded afterwards or no? Like, did Kaká miss the next match as well?
So he spent the game in the wall. It was a massive, like, ordeal.
Wow,
people were like, they
that.
should know, but at the same time, you can't. A ref doesn't know your friendship. Like,
true.
You know what I mean? And hands on the face is hands on the face.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's like spikes up in a tackle.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we're pals. I'm allowed to like 2-foot him like this. And the ref's like, no, I don't think so.
That's not how this works.
That's auto red. You're off the pitch. Yeah, so no Seba. But I think the biggest blow, with no disrespect to any of the major power forwards who are incredible, they lost the whole back line pretty much at once.
Yeah.
Right? Drew Moore went out.
Isn't Michael Bradley playing center back right now?
He is playing center back. And I want to give him credit. First of all, I'm actually not good at talking sports. This is the thing I'm the worst at.
That's
because
funny.
I was always...
I'm not great at it either.
All right, okay, perfect. This is the Pretend Sports Podcast. You know who Katie Nolan is?
Yes.
Katie Nolan has a great new podcast called Sports.
Yep.
It's a question mark. And I'm like, yes. Sports? If I ever had a sports podcast, I'd totally have a question mark at the end because I don't really know, and I get corrected all the time on how wrong I am. But I still want to take 2 seconds, and I want to say Michael Bradley at center back. I gotta love him for it. Like, I have to give him some love for it because it's like telling me, oh, Clay, by the way, you don't hold a camera and produce anymore. You're actually the producer in a truck. You know what I mean? Like, on a broadcast.
Yeah.
Sure, Michael plays soccer and he's really good at it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he's good at every position in the park.
Exactly.
And you can just totally put him whenever. And with him as a center back, they took Chivas Guadalajara right to penalty kicks, right? And they had no Justin Morrow as left back, no Chris Mavinga center back, no Drew Moore, no Eric Zavaleta, no Nick Hagland, so on and so forth. So I feel for them.
Yeah, they're going through some tough times.
So Orlando probably has a pretty good chance.
I like it. I'll take it. We lost to you guys last year. We've only beaten you once.
So last year
you beat us both times. You beat us 2-1 here, and then 3-1, I believe, in Orlando. The year before that, I know we beat you the first game.
That was the most
Orlando.
ridiculous fucking match. Let me tell you. First of all, I love Joe Bendick, so I don't want to fault him too much. But he hauled down Jordan Hamilton, one of our younger forwards. Look at me. I'm still such a team guy. One of the younger forwards didn't get anything. And then Drew Moore, of all people, got like a bullshit red at like the 94th minute. Got a bullshit red. And I think the last goal, because he was this crazy back and forth. Was it?
I think so. I honestly don't remember.
Either. You've got you probably have all the sheets.
Yeah.
Back at the hotel. That's what tonight's for. Bang out a podcast.
Yeah, but I'm not going to reference 2016.
Yeah, the teams are... Actually, your team's different.
Our team is completely
Toronto
different.
Is basically the same.
Yeah, 2016 will not be referenced at all. But I was going through... So with how many injuries you guys have had, I was going through all the games to see how many goals.
How many gores?
How many gores?
Many gores. Many gores.
How
right through the gut.
How many goals Altidore and Giovinco have scored against us?
And it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So you guys have scored 17 goals against us. They've made up 13, I believe.
Really? Of the 17?
Yeah.
And then I'd be interested if you're taking it a step further.
One
of those
them,
13, how many they combined on?
Exactly. I haven't even looked at that. But and I was looking at the 2015 season, and I wasn't here for that. And it was like Toronto beat us 5-0.
Oh, boy.
4-0. I was like, woof.
That's first year blows, though. Like,
yeah, it was
every team
rough.
kind of gets that. If you look at Minnesota right now,
yeah.
Well, this is their second, but
yeah,
still, they're kind of growing pains a little bit. Did they really?
Yeah. 2-1 in Orlando. Adrian Heath return.
Oh, just dagger.
Oh, yeah.
Dagger right in the heart. That brings us, if we were talking about 2016, that brings us to when we first met.
Yes.
At the end of 2016,
yes.
We had this little Floridian girl all bundled up coming north of the border for the playoffs.
I froze.
It wasn't even that cold.
I was freezing. I think I had 4 layers on. I'm not even kidding.
That was great, though, for you, because you were able to come, you went to New York, and then you went to, did you do New York first?
No, I did DC. Then came here straight from DC, and then the following weekend went to Red Bulls.
Oh, yeah, because it was City Toronto at the time playing, and then you did the Red Bulls afterwards.
Yeah.
What a great little tour.
Yeah,
and we got to meet up. I got told by MLS that, we're sending up a young, eager reporter. She's going to be awesome to work with. And for the first time, the reporter was awesome to work with.
Oh,
no offense to anyone,
you.
but we had fun.
We did have fun.
Like, we kept it loose. You interviewed their coach, I remember, in the hall. You got a one-on-one with him. You remember that?
With Patrick
after the
Vieira.
press? You got a one-on-one with Vieira after his press conference.
I also interviewed,
after a loss.
I also interviewed Michael Bradley and Josie Altidore on the pitch after the game.
You just owned it.
I did.
Josh Laszlo, good friend. I think he was the camera operator at that point.
Yep.
I'm just throwing out all the shout-outs. All my friends. And Alex Anthony. All the friends. All the Toronto friends coming together, supporting Ken's.
Love it.
Making sure it all goes well. We have seen each other once? So we talk often enough.
Yeah.
That was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's when we met. And then we saw each other preseason.
Right, last
2017.
Year.
And then that was it, because you didn't travel for the July or whatever.
No, the July, whenever.
The July match.
Orlando in July is terrible.
It is. I don't recommend it.
If you're going to cross anything off the list, you're like, Orlando City FC.
SC.
That's it, SC.
Oh, I thought you
Soccer
said
club.
FC. I thought you said
no,
FC.
you're not football.
Everyone messes it up. MLS messes it up sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't it in like your Twitter handle?
Yes.
It's like OCSC.
Or people say Orlando City Soccer. We get that
club.
a lot.
You don't get the club?
Yeah, I'll just be Orlando City Soccer.
And you're like, okay.
Orlando City Soccer. We're like, we might as well just change our name.
So what's been up? I haven't seen you in a year. Has anything changed? Everything's pretty much the same?
Sadly, yes. My hair is darker.
Your hair is very dark.
My hair is darker.
The thing I think that made me know I wanted to be friends with you, I was like, she surfs and she skateboards, which is, I think, all the things I wish I could do. And I totally didn't, so I just live vicariously through your Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, whenever you're having fun.
I have been snowboarding, though.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
I was in Switzerland.
Well, if you're going to snowboard,
you
might as well go in the Swiss Alps.
It was my first time, and that's where I learned.
And then how do you relate that? So you're, like, bound into the board. Way different than surfing that way. But
and
the motions...
Yeah. It was actually... So my friend taught me, who I had known for years. So he always grew up snowboarding. I grew up surfing. So our whole pact...
There we are. Here's our dynamic right here.
That was our pact, like our whole entire lives. He was like, I'm going to teach you how to snowboard if you teach me how to surf. So he's German, lives in Germany. I'm American, live in Florida. And it just so happened, I was like, this was the end of the 2016. It was actually right after you and I met.
Oh, and then you just took off to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
I went to Germany and Switzerland. And so we went and he taught me, and I actually picked it up pretty quickly. He was like, I figured you would. One, I played a bunch of sports, and he was like, two, you're just like hyper competitive. So,
and I've tried surfing. And I was terrible about it.
What was tough for me is that with snowboarding, everything's on your front foot.
Right, and not your back foot.
And I'm used to everything on my back foot. So that was the tough part for me, because I naturally want to lean back.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, you have to.
Because you'll catch an edge.
Yeah. So I definitely...
You're a snowboard queen.
I ate shit.
I think
for like
hard.
And I didn't wear like
fistfuls of snow.
Like I was just, a lot of beers were drinking at the end of the day.
I remember one of my good friends, we were teenagers. I think I started snowboarding around 15, 16, right around there. And one of my best friends, I had been in it a little bit, and he's like, and he was totally like naturally inclined to every sport. He picked everything up so easily. And he's like, okay, I want you guys, like we had a group of 4 friends, right? That did everything together. He's like, you got to teach me to snowboard. We got to go. You got to teach me to snowboard. So we're like, okay, 100%. He borrowed my buddy's board. He wore like one of my, like, I want to say it was really cool. It was one of my ugliest like snow ensembles you could give a human. And he wore that. And he, right away, he picked it up really naturally. But then what happens when you get overconfident is you pick up speed, and you're like, I can own this. He ate it so hard at the bottom of the hill that he ended up, we didn't realize this for another half hour, so it concussed him really bad. And he had, for a period of time, forgotten like the last 6 years of his life. So if you asked him his phone number, it was his old phone number. If you asked him his address, it was his old address. And then when we realized we had to take him to the hospital, it became like every 5 minutes. He's like, this is a really nice snowsuit. Is it mine? And we're like, no, Andrew, it's not yours. It's mine. You're just borrowing it. We're on the way to the hospital. Oh no, did someone get hurt? Yes, you hit your head. You have a concussion. You have to go to the hospital. And then our other friend Scott had to take over and wake him up like every hour or whatever it is throughout the night. And I'm glad I didn't get that job. And
that's intense.
So funny. Here's a whole list of Andrew's stories. Poor Andrew. Hope he never listens to this. He was the guy that always, because he was super confident, always ruined a really good time by getting hurt.
Oh, no.
And so a second we were water skiing.
He was that guy.
He was that guy, 100%. We were out on the lake, water skiing, because we'd always do like a 10-day long guys trip camping. And our friend's uncle had a cottage nearby. He was there, was going to take us out on the boat water skiing. Andrew had to be first. And we're like, okay, cool, whatever. We don't have to be first. And he's whipping around. He's jumping wake, having a lot of fun. And then he catches it weird, and the right ski smacks him in the head. And he goes down. Everyone thought it was fine. Like, he just kind of fell. We get around, and his head is wide open. And he's just, like, pouring blood. And that was the end of the day. We had to then go in and take him to the hospital again because he had to go get stitches. Andrew is the guy that ruins all the fun.
But he'll have some gnarly stories when he gets older.
Probably. He's got kids now.
Oh,
so I bet you, I wonder,
it.
I haven't met them yet. I'm really bad at meeting my friends' kids because I'm like, let me know when they're 8.
That's
like,
how I am.
Are you? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Because
I'm like, let me know. I can handle 2 because 2 you can kind of like mess with them. It's funny. And I'm all about that. Like I'm an aunt. I have 2 nieces and a nephew. Oh yeah. Like when they're young, I love it because I'm like, all right, this is what we're going to do. You're going to go over there and you're going to tell grandma like
that this happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm the oldest of 3. Neither of my brothers have kids yet. I imagine when they're like blood related, you probably like them more.
Yes.
But
you're forced to like them.
You have to. They're at all the family events. Like, you got to put up with them. You have to entertain them. But right now, I don't want to drop them at first because I feel like I'm the one that's going to break the baby. So I don't want to touch them. I get a little miffed when everyone's like, oh, it's so cute, because in my head, they all look the same. Like, a baby always looks like a little alien. They're this little lanky alien.
There are some very cute babies. There are also a lot of not good-looking babies.
And what does everyone say to that ugly baby?
Oh, your baby's so cute.
It's so adorable.
Like, if I see a baby and I don't think your baby's cute, I'm just not going to say anything.
Oh.
And also, I'm not the biggest person when it comes to babies, because, like, when my friends have kids, they're like, do you want to hold her? I'm like, no.
I'm good over here. I'll take the Instagram picture.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I'll hold the photo. I'll hold the camera.
Exactly. I'm
Kids.
like, and also I feel like you don't really start seeing physical characteristics of a kid until they hit 1. That's when you can really see, like, oh, she has your eyes. Yeah.
That's what I'm mortified of too, because I've messed that up too, where I'm like, oh, she's so adorable. And they're like, it's a boy. I'm like, then don't dress him in pink.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking with the rest of us. God damn it.
But it's when the worst is like when a friend has a baby and a week later it's like, look, she has my eyes. It's like, you what?
Like 2 of them? Is that what you mean? She has like, 2 eyes?
Like, okay, yeah, maybe they look like your baby pictures, but like, let's not get carried away.
It always also has 2 ears and a mouth, which means it definitely looks like the dad.
As long as your baby's happy and healthy and like mom's doing good, like
good. And I'll send them a gift card in the mail. And then they hit 2
I don't even
and they scream. And then they hit 3 and then they realize that by crying they can get anything they want. And then I hate kids for 3, 4, 5. Then they're 5 and they go to school and they think they're hot shit. It's not until they get beaten up a few times and they turn 8.
You have this whole thing figured out.
I'm going to father kids and then not see them until their 8th birthday.
You should just write a book.
Don't worry, father's here. And they're like, who are you? I'm like, no. Trust me, you have my eyes. 100%. You've got to be mine.
You should write a book.
Yeah,
a parenting book.
Yeah, I should not write a parenting book. There's a lot of books I could write. Parenting, no.
I like it.
A
parenting book from a non-parent.
We should, and I might message my friends and then send you what they reply to me. Like, when it comes to me seeing their new family. They're always like, why don't you come visit? I'm like, because you have a kid. I'm so sorry. Like, you were cool, and then you became serious.
Yeah. I have my, like, best friend. She has a daughter, and she's still, like, if I come into town, she's still like, hey, like, do you want to go, like, out to dinner and, like, get a couple drinks? Like, she's
cool.
She's still my girl.
She remembered who she was?
Yeah.
She didn't forget?
No.
It's like a
But I do have some friends who just completely, like, drop off the radar.
And they go into parent mode.
They do.
What's up with parent mode? What are the stages? You have friends. You're in a... This is the weird thing about social media, and I say this a lot, is that...
I love that.
A boot?
I love it.
And I actually physically try. I dated a Florida girl for a while, and I would get called out every single time. Called out. Here's the fundamental difference that I figured out. Is that we try to pronounce the T, and then you just go with the OU, right? Where are you going? I'm going out.
Going out.
Out, right? It's like kind of like almost like OW with a little bit of a... There's no T.
Out.
Don't lie. I'm going out and then out. We just really... We skip the U and just go right for the T.
Yeah.
Same with about. About. It's weird, right?
It is weird.
I have a really good friend who works in media as well. And actually, when you're in New York for the game, if you haven't met her yet, I'm going to highly suggest you two meet and grab a coffee. Her name's Julie Stewart-Banks. And Julie Stewart-Banks...
I know Julie.
You know Julie?
Yeah.
Oh, so Julie is Torontonian originally, and we worked together ages ago. So Julie went west, then she got the FS1 job in LA, and then she went to ESPN, and then she moved to New York. So it kind of ruins it because you already know her, but I'm still going to put in a good word, damn it. And
yeah, I was actually...
If you're in New York, I want you two to meet up.
Because we'll be in New York in 2 weeks. And I was actually going to send her a message and be like, hey...
Yeah.
Because her and I have actually never hung out.
Yeah.
But anytime she would come to Orlando City, like, to games...
She hung what?
Like,
now you know how it feels, damn it.
Whenever she would pay visit
to
Orlando City for a broadcast, I would say hi to her, and I'd be like, by the way, I love your Instagram stories. I watch them.
She's hilarious.
I watch them vicariously.
And she has found a real neat way, I think, of navigating new media. And it's weird that we're still calling it new media when it's just what media is now.
Yeah.
But everyone understands when I say new media.
She's so good at it. It's funny. So a lot of people who really know me know I'm way more introverted.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
I would never have guessed.
I'm much more
You
introverted.
seem like the most fun person in the world.
I am fun. Once you, like, really know me.
I am fun. You're now defensive. You're like, oh, I promise. I'm really, really fun.
If you know me. But when I go into a room of people I don't know, I'm not naturally like, hey, I'm Mackenzie. Nice to meet you. I'm not one of those people. Like, I'm very much like, hey. Hi. Like, someone has to, like, make that introduction. Like, it's very hard for me to, like, get out of my shell.
Yeah.
If I'm in front of a camera and have to work, like, it honestly takes so much out of me that after I do a broadcast, a lot of people will be like, let's go out. And I'm like, no, because I am so drained. Like, it drains me because it's who I am.
Not natural.
It's who I am, but it's not natural for me to just be like, hi, and welcome to, like, that's just not how I am.
Give me your best coming back from break. Come on. It's just me and you. There's not a lot of people here.
Coming back from break? Like
coming back from
show?
break. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I don't know. Whenever you come back from break.
Yeah, typically, like, if it's a pregame show, it'll usually be like, welcome back to the Orlando City pregame show presented by SunPass. Orlando City getting ready to take on Toronto FC. Toronto FC currently 1-6-2 on the season.
Whoa. Easy with the stats there, smartass. Remember where you're staying right now.
Orlando City's looking to bounce back from an emotional loss against Atlanta United as of last week and looking to get back to winning ways.
But see, you turn it on very well. If you struggle with it, you do it so well that I wouldn't know at all.
People have no idea.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, so I have high social anxiety. That's just who I am. And I tried to fight it in my 20s because I'm old now. And then I finally just came to a realization that big groups, for a few different reasons, really intimidate me. I'm way better one-on-one. And that's why this whole podcast thing works really well for me, because I can catch up with old friends, people I've worked with, people I've met along the way, without having that stress of being in a public spot with a big table of people, and then at the end feeling like I never caught up with them at all. So we can look at it as a negative, but how does it help you?
I honestly, it's funny. I feel like when I was a kid, I was pretty outgoing. And I don't really know, like, what switched. Actually, I do know it switched it now that I think about it. Because I moved overseas. I moved to China when I was freaking 12. My parents were like, hey,
guess what?
Guess what? No, literally, they were like, guess what? 2.5 months we're packing up and moving to China.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. And I was like, I started laughing. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's a great joke.
we're on the way to dinner, haven't even left our complex yet. By the way, I'm like, no.
And it's not like you're not at the most critical point of your development ever. You're a 12-year-old.
I'm in 7th grade, middle of 7th grade. I think like I have my group of friends. I know where I'm going to high school. Like, all right, this is like...
I have the next 5 years planned out.
This is the plan. Like, this is what's happening. And it was just a bomb drop. Go to an international school where it's an American international school, mind you, but I was one of very few actual Americans. So I come in moving from South Florida wearing Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister. I look like this the epitome of South Florida. And I walk in and everyone's like, what the hell is she wearing? Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I was one that got made fun of and I got teased and I got bullied really bad. And so I think that I went into this shell and it sent me a little bit into like a depression and I learned how to hide it, which is why I think I'm so good at hiding of being a natural introvert now. And also my dad is introverted by nature. So I think that's where I'm a lot like my dad in that sense, but my mom is very outgoing, which is where I get that from.
So interestingly enough, my dad was like the life of the party until he had kids. And then he became kind of the person that just wanted to hide in his home. And my mom was always... So my mom knew my dad as this social butterfly. But then I knew my dad as the one who was like, no, I don't really want to have people over this weekend. Now, can we just kind of chill? And my mom was the one always wanted to bring people into the home. And she wanted to entertain. She always wanted to entertain. And it was kind of neat because we grew up on a pretty big property. So then all of our friends would want to come over and we'd have bonfires. So we'd have barbecues and cookouts and stuff like that. But I realize now that I'm older, is my mom trying to feed that part of her that loves having people around and loves being the entertainer. And then unfortunately my dad, I guess, just life happens.
Yeah, my dad has pretty much been an introvert his entire life. My mom, social butterfly, constantly needs to be talking to somebody. Like if she, like every single morning, she's on the phone with a friend.
Really?
Every single morning without fail. She probably will phone 2 or 3 friends. Just be like, hey, like da-da-da-da-da. Like she just has to talk to somebody. Yeah. And if she's not talking to anyone, she's calling me and I'm like, she'll be like, I honestly, like, I can put the phone down for 5 minutes and come back and she's like, oh yeah, and then this happened at work and I'm just like, cool, another 5 minutes down. Like, it's awful. But
bless her, she's amazing.
I'm honestly trying to fill time because I'm trying to figure out an answer to your original question right now.
No, it's cool because you led us down a neat road with China. I'm guessing one of your parents had to go for work?
Yeah, my dad.
Yeah, what did he do in China?
So he worked for a privately owned company and they manufactured computer components. So pretty much what was happening was the manufacturing, there were constantly issues where it just pretty much got to the point where they were like, yeah, we just need you to be there full time.
Yeah. And you were there for how long?
I lived there until I was 16. My parents actually ended up living there for 10 years.
So I had this, I don't have a script. I don't have papers in front of me, but I kind of thought as you're coming over, I'm like, oh, I'm going to ask her because we get a lot of Canadian guests on the podcast. And even like when Julie was on, she is Canadian, even though she was coming up from the States to come be on the podcast. I was going to say something like, so tell me, we're a lot the same, but what are some of the differences you notice in Canada? Way better now. What are some of the things I wouldn't guess that kind of hit you as a bit of a culture shock?
Okay, well,
aside from everything,
my dad set us up for failure.
Oh, poor guy.
So we're in the house. He gives me this pamphlet of what my school's going to look like. Blue skies, green trees. And my mom had never been over there either. And we're like, oh, what's it like? And he's like, very similar to here. Very similar.
You actually will be so blown away that it's like downtown Orlando.
All the pictures are so edited, heavily edited. Have blue skies, all this stuff. When we first got to China, we arrived in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, very similar to New York.
Okay.
Just skyscrapers everywhere, on the water, right there.
Yeah. Concrete jungle.
Exactly. We get on the train to go into the mainland. Rice fields.
Really?
Rice fields. And it's so polluted.
Oh, no.
So polluted. And what you learn by living there is that it's a good day when you see a little bit of blue. Like, and you see maybe a blue sky 28 days out of the year.
And
because it's so polluted.
And so it's a lot of smog then, or overcast, or a mix of both?
It's just gray. The sky is just gray. You don't see stars. So now every time I see stars, like, I will stand outside and I'll just look at stars.
You just look straight up.
Because
I found you.
I'm like, I didn't have it for 4 years unless I went on vacation. You don't realize how much you appreciate little things like that. One thing that was cool, I would say, about living there is that it taught me to grow up a lot faster, because being American, you get away with anything.
So it helped you grow up faster?
But I think it's because my parents were so lenient. So at 14, my curfew was midnight.
Right.
I didn't have a car. I wasn't driving. I was in taxis by myself, and they were just like, yeah, go. Like, but it was so safe.
I was going to say, it must have been a relatively safe area. It's so safe.
Because there, it's guilty until proven innocent. And usually it's automatic
punishment.
Death penalty if anything happens.
Right.
Some things, though, that you probably wouldn't know. I mean, it's a third world country.
Yeah.
In every sense of the form. Which
must be interesting because it's so strongly juxtaposed to what you witness in Hong Kong. Which,
completely night and day.
If it's much like New York.
Night and day. I mean, if you go outside of, like, the city of Hong Kong, you see it a little bit more.
Yep.
But yeah, in Hong Kong, it's skyscrapers, nice malls, nice shops, English. You still get a lot of that influence because obviously Britain used to own it. It used to be a territory for them. And then you just go in China and it's just... It's like you're speaking. It's aliens. It's completely foreign. I remember our first couple days there. We're walking through this market, and they'll grab you and be like, "Missy, you want to watch Missy?" And I remember I'm like, "Don't touch me!"
Yeah.
Like
I don't like being.
And they want to take pictures with you. Like, it's
interesting.
Yeah.
I don't like being touched on the best of days.
Exactly.
I have a real personal space boundary.
That's how I am, and they just no.
They have a lot of love to share. That's what it is. They have a lot of love.
They have a lot of fake watches.
They want to have tons of fake watches. They have all the love as long as you buy a fake watch.
Or a fake purse. Or some fake shoes. You get great quality.
I think I need to go on a shopping trip. We call them
tributes. That's what my mom and I have called them. We call them tributes.
The merchandise you can buy?
The merchandise.
Because it's such a nice tribute to a Chanel purse.
Exactly.
Incredible. Am I correct in assuming then that if you went to like an American, what did you call it? The school you went to?
It was called AISG, so American International School of Guangzhou.
Okay, so it's an American International School. Do you bond pretty quickly because you all feel like foreigners, or is it almost the exact opposite where it becomes now extremely cliquey compared to some of the public schools that you went to?
When I first got there, luckily, there was an American girl who moved from Indiana a week before I did.
Right, so she was going through the same thing.
So pretty much her and I became instant friends. She had never moved out of the state of Indiana, whereas at least I moved around the continental United States because my dad was in the military prior to this job. So we moved...
Your dad just got really used to moving and didn't want to stop.
But honestly, it's a curse now because I grew up moving so much... I don't ever want to stay in a place for more than like 2-3 years. Like I get this itch where I'm like, all right, I need to go. I need new city. I need new people.
So my family moved into the home where my mom still is when a week after I turned 1, and my mom's still there. And so when I moved out at 18, I think I lived in 7 places in 7 years. I think that's how the next stretch went, which... For me, I didn't even see the purpose in unpacking anymore. I was like, why unbox anything?
Oh, my apartment, I have nothing hanging.
Minimalism. You just get to kind of be happy with whatever you have. But I've now been in my place for 8 years, which is wild to think. Like, it's crazy. But it feels like home. When I get there, I'm like, oh no, this is like my safe spot. And I almost moved because I got that itch. After a couple of years, I'm like, okay, I need a change. And then my friend said, listen, especially because I got a really good rate on the rent. And I don't know what prices are like in Southern Florida. They've gotten kind of stupid here. Like,
it's rising.
Is it? Yeah. 650 square feet will probably run you $1,500 American or like
Oh, wow.
1900 Canadian. If you want a little bit more elbow room, like if you want some space, if you want a 2-bedroom, you're 2600 Canadian, so probably 2100 American and up. And so I got my place at a steal, and my friend, great advice. They said, listen, you're going to spend a lot of money if you move. You know that. And I was like, yeah, I can afford it. They're like, do yourself a favor, redecorate everything. Right? I was a boy. Like I am.
Guys don't redecorate.
Guys don't redecorate. All my stuff had been collected, just odds and ends over the years. And it's like, oh yeah, I got this nightstand from here. And I don't think my other nightstand even like matched my first one. My bed was donated to me. It was a hunk of crap. My couch was a love seat. It was no bigger than the one here in my office. It wasn't a couch at all. And so I spent the money. I got rid of everything, decorated head to tail. And then it felt finally... It felt like a new place. Yeah, it felt like a new place. I didn't have to move because it scratched that itch. But then when you get into it, you realize I picked everything for a purpose, and I now can't imagine my stuff anywhere else because it's been selected, I feel like, for that one spot.
That's not how I roll.
Couch. Did I say that weird too?
I don't... If you did, I didn't pick up on it.
Couch.
Coach.
Couch. Couch.
Coach?
Coach. It's a tribute bag, actually. It's a coach. It's a couch. It's my tribute bag.
Love it.
So things have changed for you this year? You've taken on more responsibility with work, right?
Yeah.
And tell me, I could sit here and tell you everything you do, and it would kind of be a really boring podcast. Or I can pretend I don't know anything, and you can just tell me everything.
Okay.
I'm really excited.
So pretty much, this is my third year with Orlando City.
Yeah.
The first year, just sidelining. Last year, they were like, all right, we're just going to have you host because we think trying to have you host and sideline might be too much of you running back and forth from set to pitch. And then this year, they're like, all right, we're going to have you
you can run.
You can run.
We know you can move.
Okay. Speaking of running, I have a great story. So
soccer, there's a lot of it.
So earlier this season, Dom Dwyer scored his 100th career professional goal. After we win, our guys go hand in hand, run up to our supporter section as like a
do
thank
their
you.
thing, yeah.
So I interview the coach. We're waiting on Dom Dwyer, and he's taking his time. Interview him. I haul ass. I am in over the knee boots.
Oh boy,
with a 4-inch heel.
Because me as a guy, totally know what that's.
It's
like.
Like that.
Yeah.
Like small, bigger than the heels I'm wearing right now. Over the knee boots. Haul ass. I am jumping, leaping.
Oh my
leaping
goodness.
over
Gazelle-like.
tables. Oh, it was
bounding.
So in my head, I'm running like
full
blown flying. Because I'm trying to get to this set because at the set we bring on another player
Holy
and do
smokes.
another interview. So I am just flying to the set, out of breath. And after the game, one of our interns comes up to us and she was like, "You ran your ass off."
I saw you.
And in my head, I'm thinking, there's no way I was probably running that fast.
Yeah.
She was like, "No, you were hauling.
You're going to the NFL Combine at IMG
exactly.
in a couple
she was
weeks.
Like,
and
no, she was like,
new
I
records of the
wish
40.
I would have recorded it. She was like, it was so good. The look on your face, and you were just running full on with a microphone in hand, in heels, doing every other step, like up the steps to get to our set. It was just...
Which is amazing because I'm like, welcome back to the broadcast.
They throw back from the booth, and I'm literally like, hold on a second. Let me catch my breath. I would now like to welcome on, like full on, just like my face is red.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was great.
One shot on him.
Yeah.
Thanks.
One of our analysts, he comes on and co-hosts with me, so I'm just like, Miguel. You get the first like 3 questions. No, so it's been fun. It's been fun being able to host and sideline because they're two totally different animals. Yeah. And you don't really realize it until you're doing both back to back. And it's kind of been fun because everyone is always like, well, what do you want to do? What's your dream job? Do you want to host? Do you want to
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, that's the worst
I hate
question.
That one.
It is the worst
Working,
question.
clearly. I need to pay the bills.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like my agency, for example, they're always like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to sideline or do you want to host? Because it's so rare that you get a job where you can do both. And this year I've kind of been able to like figure that out a little bit more with what I like to do. And I thought it was hosting, and now I'm starting to realize I'm like, actually, I just really like sidelining. Yeah. I think it's because you're so in the moment and there's no script to it. You're so in tune with like what's happening, like fly by the seat of your pants. But yeah, it's been fun. And now I'm traveling with the team this year, which is why I'm here.
I loved travel days. I loved the routine of them. I think I grew to enjoy road dates more. Not that I don't love Toronto and the fans and BMO Field, but there's such a routine to a travel match that you get this pace, and before you even go on the trip, okay, this is going to be this is going to be this is going to be this, then we head to the stadium at this time, and then my day goes like this, and then I end here, and then I'm back at the hotel, I get to eat, I go to bed, or whatever it might be. Where with home matches, I would spend generally most of the day still at the office, which everything's being thrown at you from every angle. You're in meetings, you're running around, and then all of a sudden at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, you have to switch gears, you have to pack all your gear, you have to run there, and then figure out what the heck you're doing. And so I hope you get that kind of, just that bliss, I think, a little bit of space, but just that great routine that I found came on the road. The reason why I wanted you to share everything you're doing this year, because it contrasts so perfectly, completely contrasts to what your life was like from 12 to 16 in China. And I really want to know, how did you go from A to B?
Honestly, so when I was really little, I grew up going to baseball games religiously, Marlins games. And
Go Blue Jays.
I would sit in the upper deck with all the old geezers who would listen to the radio broadcast, chart the games.
That was me at like 22.
That was my life as a 7-year-old.
Amazing.
As a 7-8-year-old, like I knew all the cameramen. Yep. I was on the big screen every game. Like I knew everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my parents who got me in sports. It was actually our neighbors. They're the ones who got me in sports when we first moved to South Florida. And I just remember Don Dwyer, funny enough, Don.
the other one.
Yeah. He was like, you should be a sports reporter. And for whatever reason, it just stuck. So lived in China, played every single sport, was on every single varsity team throughout high school, got to college, kind of just got through college, was just kind of like, I want to work in sports, but like, am I going to work in sports? Like, how is this really going to work? Like, I didn't go to school to be on TV. I just went to school for communication. So pretty much to do like PR.
Yep.
My last semester, I remember,
you'd be great at PR. You say fuck, piss, and shit all the time.
Oh God. I would send out some great press releases. Like they would be so...
We traded some fucking guy. Doesn't matter anymore.
They would be so entertaining. Oh my gosh. I wish one team... I feel like the Vegas Golden Knights. Like I feel like they would be totally cool if they'd be like, yeah, some fucking guy just like...
He's gone.
Out.
He's gone. Out. Peace.
Been booted from the team. So I remember my last semester of college, my parents still lived overseas. And I told myself, I was like, if I don't get a job in sports or don't figure out what the hell I'm going to do, I'm going to become a dive instructor overseas. Go overseas for a year and become a dive instructor. Figure out what I want to do. Funny enough, just online, Craigslist, find a super obscure ad. Sports writer looking for assistant, wrote a book, works at a house, must be okay with cat and dog. Please send resume.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I remember I read it and I was like, this is really sketchy.
This is so sketch.
So sketchy.
Yeah.
I came back
It's like one of those Florida Man headlines. Florida Man seeking assistance.
That's the start of a horror movie.
Yeah.
A really bad horror movie on Netflix that never made it.
You already have the dark hair, so you're halfway there.
Exactly. So a week later, I go back to it and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to send an email. Because what's it going to hurt? You don't get a reply. Send an email, 5 minutes later, get a response back. Hi, I'm Christy Dosh. I'm the ESPN sports business reporter. And I'm like, holy crap.
No way.
Yeah. Because she wanted to be...
Yeah.
She didn't want to be like, hi,
she wanted to be incognito.
Yeah. She was like, hey, I'm an ESPN reporter.
Yeah.
No. So her and I met, got the job, worked with her for a year. Her husband worked at the sports radio station and ran the sports radio station in Jacksonville, Florida. Ended up doing a podcast for them. didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, she was like, you know sports. He needs someone to talk about the Florida Gators, college football. I was like, okay, cool. Once she left ESPN, I moved over to the radio station, interned, and one of the radio guys there was like, I want to put you in front of camera just to see. Just to see what happens. And so we did a screen test, read off a teleprompter, never read off a teleprompter in my life. It was awful.
I was hoping you weren't going to say that, but everyone's first.
Absolutely terrible.
Awful.
I think my friend who was the video camera, he was running the video
operator,
camera.
yeah.
At the time. Didn't know him. Him and I are now like awesome friends. He was like, I think I still have it. And I'm hoping he sends it to me one day. And pretty much, it was just terrible. A couple weeks later, he was like, hey, I'm doing a high school football show. I just need someone to go out to promote the games each Friday night. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yep, I can do that.
A couple $100 a game? Sure. Every Friday? Got it. The first game, he's like, let's just try doing a stand-up. So no teleprompter. You're just going to talk about the game. Go in front of camera, do a stand-up, and he was like, holy crap.
You're better.
That was really good. That was really good.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
Yeah. And
next thing I knew, I was just like going to the studio every day, read off teleprompter, got better and better. And
that
now I work at Orlando City.
That launched the soccer butterfly.
So all of that started, read off the teleprompter for the first time in July. High school football started in August. The following July, ESPN Wide World of Sports contacted me and was like, hey, we want you to come be our reporter for ESPN Wide World of Sports. And then I started doing like ESPN 3 gigs, like ESPN U gigs. And then Orlando City contacted me a month after I got the job with ESPN because I was just like, would go down for like events for ESPN. So I was still working in Jacksonville. And then Orlando City was like, hey.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I had only been on TV, front and camera, for a year and a half before I got my Orlando City job.
You know, this actually goes against everything people usually hear on this podcast. I'll tell you why. Because oftentimes it's a lot like, yeah, I try to get a job and then realize there's not a lot of jobs out there. And so then I just decided I have a camera and a YouTube channel. I've got to do my own thing. And then someone recognized me. You're like, whoa, move out of the way, ESPN. I'm coming through. Hello, radio. Hello, high school football. Oh, what's that? ESPN Wide World of Sports? Yeah, of course. I'll put you on my agenda. Orlando City, nice to meet you. I think I can fit you in on Saturdays.
It was a complete whirlwind. Like it was so crazy. But it's funny because once I kind of got that taste of it, I was like, this is what I've always wanted to do. Yeah. I'm now doing it. And I just pretty much went like balls to the walls. Yeah. So like I was in studio every day working on teleprompter, like, and actually that's what I'm best at, is being in studio on teleprompter.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy. And that's what I don't even do that anymore. No. But that's what I'm the best at. Funny enough.
Dang, you're not even helping me do my best stuff.
I know.
Give me a teleprompter.
It's nuts. But yeah, and then
and coming up at 6 o'clock, we have Mark, and he'll give you the exactly.
But then my first year, Orlando City, and then Kick, now Copa 90 US, contacted me and were like, "Hey, can you come do the Euros are this year? Can you come cover the Euros for us out of our studio for a month?"
You did the Euros with Kick?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So my first year with Orlando City,
I love the people at Kick, actually.
So
I'm very fond
went
with them.
to my boss, and I actually I like kind of work under like 3 different people because I do digital and TV.
Yeah.
So I go to one of my bosses and I was like, "Hey, this is what happened." And he at the time was the second in command, basically. Yep. And he was like, "If I was the main boss, I would say no, because I wouldn't want to lose you for a month." I go to my main boss and he's like, "Let me think about it." Next day comes back, he's like, "It's a good opportunity. You should go." And Kick was like, "We'll fly you back for the games you have to broadcast," which was
amazing.
Only 2. So I lived in New York for a month, covered the Euros.
Incredible.
Yeah, and it was and then like that year, then MLS was like, "Hey, can you cover playoffs for us?" Like it was
because
nuts.
Kick and MLS had, I think Kick just turned into Copa 90.
They hadn't turned into Copa 90 yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
But they have always had some sort of relationship between the offices.
Yeah. Kick was originally in the MLS soccer offices.
Oh,
and then they moved offices, so they had their own office.
Yeah. It's incredibly important, just listen to your story, and that one key, that your boss realized this is a good opportunity.
Which is so rare.
But it's so important.
It is.
That, especially when you are... Okay, what are the big 3 sports in the States? Baseball, football...
Basketball.
And basketball. right? So if you're not in that tier, you kind of, in a way, you can look at your job as owing it to the people under you to help foster and help grow good talent. And what an incredible gift to give someone to say, listen, it's a wicked opportunity, great exposure, and a ton of reps, a ton of time on camera.
Yep.
You're going to learn so much about yourself, and then you're going to come back here and you'll have grown this much just because of all the work you've done. That kind of stuff makes me really happy, because I believe that's something we can all work on more, by making sure we're not just looking out for ourselves, but we're also helping foster the next crop and young talent who are extremely eager and, in your case, unbelievably able and talented.
Yeah, and I think especially with my boss at the time, once you're a VP in a company, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
You're sitting back.
You're in a good spot.
You got the money flowing in. And working directly for a team, and this is really for any major league sport.
Yep.
You're not making a lot of money when you're directly working for a team and you're in a lower level. That's just how it is, because if you don't want to work there, someone else does, because people always want to work in sports.
And technically regional, right?
That too.
You would an equal would be someone who's on a regional TV station. You're not national.
Yeah.
Because you only work for one area.
We're local. We're not even regional.
Really?
Yeah. So we're not even regional. We're just Orlando and the little bit outside of Orlando. Yeah. So
Kissimmee? That's the one place I know. Champions Gate. There we go.
Yeah,
we stayed there.
Gate. Yeah, our games get to there. But I think and even one of my bosses, I talked to him this year. He was like, I don't expect you to be here forever. It is local. I know you want to do bigger and better things. I'm here to help you. That is what I'm here to do. You're not old enough to settle. Mm-hmm. You're just not. He's you're still in your 20s.
I'm old enough to settle, though. I'm definitely old enough.
You?
No, yeah.
No, but my boss was I'm old enough to settle.
Yeah. You keep going.
Yeah, but he was I don't expect you to be here your entire life. And I love Orlando City. I the day I move on, that will forever be my team, my MLS team. I will forever support them. We'll forever love them. We'll love those fans. But yeah, of course I would the dream is to make national. That is the goal. Actually, I would be happy making regional, because
it's a little movement. It's you're growing, you're moving.
Yeah, and even when I was little, I remember if I was a sports reporter, I want to be a Marlin sports reporter. If I ever became a Marlin sports reporter, I'd just be work a day. I'd be done.
I did it.
I did it. Oh my gosh,
I'm retiring happy.
I'm going out on top. But it's crazy to think how I'm 26. I started Orlando City when I was 24. At 21, I had no idea what was going to happen. And it's crazy to think 5 years, someone at 21 would have been hey, what's your 5-year plan? And I'd be I hope I work in sports. I hope, but I'm probably just going to be working in a cubicle somewhere.
Right.
And funny enough, I
there
didn't,
you are.
And also never once did I think, oh, I'm going to be working in Major League Soccer.
Right. Never
crossed my mind at all. And now I'm in deep.
I'm right in. It's got me.
I'm in deep.
What I try to tell, whenever someone asks me about my past. So I was a writer first. I was a reporter on camera for years. Then I moved into producing documentary stuff. And that's kind of where I've wound up. And much to what you just said, I said, don't say you have to be somewhere in 5 years, because your plan, if you allow it, will change 30 times over that, because you learn something new, you add a new piece to your tool belt or to your repertoire, and then you're oh, I want to do this more. I say always have a plan, as in, listen, my next step is this. I want to get regional, or I want to be the Marlins reporter, or whatever it is. Always have a direction you're heading, but never dig your heels in and say, no, it's only, I have to do this in 5 years or else, because you'll shut the door to so many opportunities.
So piggybacking off that, I know so many girls when I was first starting out. Mm-hmm. I live in Florida, quote unquote, South. Quote unquote, South. Southern region.
Whoa. What's quote unquote South? So this is a Canadian podcast.
I'm saying South in terms of so college football is massive.
Okay.
In the South. So that's Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky. You go out west, like to California, college football, like not a big deal. Like
Okay.
you go to Florida, like college football, like people live and die for Saturdays during college football season. And I love college football.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. But I know so many girls who are like, I only want to cover college. Like I will only
Right.
cover football. And because of that, they're now no longer in sports.
No.
Because that's all they said that they would do. Whereas like, I was like, soccer?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, cool. Okay.
Where are we
Like,
going to go from here?
Yeah. Like,
Hello Euros.
yeah.
Massive.
Yeah. It's just funny how it like watching other people, how they were like, I'm only going to do this. Like, I will only allow myself to do that. But then it takes you out entirely.
Yeah, completely.
You need to, there's no right way to get somewhere at all.
There's only experience.
Yep.
Right? You can only experience things. And even to your point, you had said you did sideline, then you did hosting, and then you appreciate the fact that you're doing both because you really get to see where your inclination lies. In Canada, if you could guess when you're, a child or teenager growing up, if we want to cover one sport, what sport do you think we want to cover? Hockey. We want to be, whether it's the Montreal Canadiens, Vancouver Canucks, Toronto Maple Leafs, whatever. That's what we want to do. We just want to focus on hockey. And I was fortunate enough to really get my start in sports through hockey. I was completely lucky. But there's a massive market for tennis because we have the Rogers Cup. We have golf. We have one of the Masters. I think someone will yell at me if I'm wrong. We have one of the big tournaments up here as well. Pardon?
They're on the circuit.
Are we? See, look, we're on. I need people like you. I need you to fact check everything I say. There's so many different ways that you can exercise your talents, and then you can learn so much awesome stuff and meet so many talented people along the way.
Can I say I have done some like obscure sports reporting?
Curling? No.
I covered the flyboard world championship.
That's incredible. What's flyboarding?
Flyboarding is what you see where it's like the people in the air. It looks like they're on a hoverboard that's attached to a jet ski, and it
Oh yeah, that looks pretty badass.
Like you
though.
see a lot of people like when they go on vacation in like Mexico.
They do it.
There's a world championship for it. I covered it.
It must have been pretty awesome though.
I had no idea what I was doing. No idea.
Yeah, he just pulled the double spinny trick.
Oh yeah,
and then ended it with the landing.
I was like, okay. It was for CBS Sports actually.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Keep yourself open to opportunity.
But then you know what? It's funny because now I can go back. I was like, yeah, I was on CBS Sports.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't matter what it was. It's just the fact that you can say it.
And that's the funny thing about demo reels is that so often, and if someone's experienced, they should be listening to what you're saying, but all of us play victim to it. We just look to see what the watermark is in the corner.
Yep.
Like you're there doing a stand-up. A million stand-ups sound the same. Like they really, or you do like a post anything interview, they all really sound the same. We got to make sure someone's presentable 100%, that they don't trip over their words or are scared of the camera 100%. And then we also look at the watermark in the bottom and go, oh shit, they did stuff for FS1 or they did stuff for CBS or ESPN. Check. And you get 40 seconds into it. You're like, yeah, it's good enough. We're going to bring her in. She can definitely do whatever we need her to do, or he, whatever we need him to do.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Keep yourself open to opportunity, especially if those opportunities lead to dinner afterwards.
Yes.
I promised you that we'd grab some food. You're like, good, because I'm starving. And I've kept you long over our hour.
Oh, that's fine.
What kind of food do you want to go for? What's your kind of eats?
I just want something that I wouldn't normally be able to get in Orlando, which I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that is. Like, what can't you get in Orlando?
I don't know.
I know. We'll definitely go for tacos. No, you get tacos all the time. I've had great
time.
tacos in Orlando.
Just take me to like a spot that you know is like always reliable, always really good.
Beer or wine? What's your preference? Depends on the day.
Probably wine.
Probably
Actually,
wine?
I love beer and I love wine. It really does depend on the day.
And are you a red or a white wine? This isn't. I'm just teaching people about you.
It depends on what I'm eating.
Oh, you're one of those fancy people.
So when I first started
Pinky
drinking,
up, definitely.
No. When I first started drinking wine, I only liked white because it was chilled.
Yep.
And then once I started drinking enough I remember I was out with girlfriends, and I had a couple glasses of white wine at that point, and they were drinking red, and I was like, yeah, I'm already feeling good. So I started drinking red because at that point you just don't really care. And then I was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. And then I went on this like really long bender of just only drinking red wine, and now I've gotten myself back to where I'm like, I appreciate white wine.
So we have a very cold, long winter, as you were privy to when you came up for MLS playoffs.
4 layers.
4-layer winter, which is generally the red wine time of year. And then when we
like
get
mulled wine.
Oh, we do mulled.
I love mulled wine.
So we have to make sure. I don't know if MLS Cup will be hosted a 3rd straight year in Toronto, but if you happen to end up here in the end of November to early December, one of the biggest attractions is Toronto's Christmas market, and we hold it in one of the oldest parts of town, and they do incredible mulled wine.
When I went to Switzerland and Germany,
Glühwein wine. Glühwein, there you go.
Glühwein. I pretty much every single night, because I went in December, every single night we went to a Christmas market. Every single night I had Glühwein or I had cider.
Oh, which is great warm as well.
Oh, so
with cinnamon?
Good. Yeah.
Did they put cinnamon sticks in it or whatever?
Alcohol in it.
And they
so great. So much. Everything's better. Just
leave yourself open to opportunity. Don't dig your heels in. And when the opportunity arises, please go get dinner. We like to end the podcast the same way every single time. And it's actually really fitting with what we're about to do.
Yes.
I'll tell everyone to be good to themselves, and then you will add and eat your vegetables, because in my mind, it's one of those simple things in which you can treat your body well and your mind well.
I love vegetables.
I love vegetables too.
I have a green juice every day.
What's in your green juice?
It's like it's actually like a powder.
No.
It actually tastes really good.
Does it really?
It tastes like apple juice, but maybe like more like sour apple candy.
Sour apple candy
but
for
it's
everyone.
Really good.
Imagining this at home.
It tastes really, really good.
Get after it. But please, in the meantime, be good to yourself.
And eat your vegetables.